Hi everyone, me again. Doris Raymond from The Way We Wore in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for tuning in to another one of our webisodes, and I want to encourage you to watch this all the way through, and if you like it, please give us a thumbs up, and also if you're not already subscribed, we would appreciate it if you did that. On September 13th, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City will, after a 2-year hiatus because of COVID, have a return of the Met Ball, which is a really important thing for fundraising. And this year's theme is In America, a Lexicon of Fashion. And in honor of that, we thought it would be smart to do an episode on one of our great American designers, James Galanos. Started The Way We Wore in San Francisco in 1981, and at the time I was looking at primarily things that were accessible to people in my age group, which at the time was in their mid to late 20s and younger. And every time I would come across a Galanos piece, I would be in awe of the construction and the quality and the finishing. And for the most part, I veered away from acquiring pieces like that because they were either too expensive for my clientele or the styles were a little on the ladies who lunch kind of category. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it was just that my clientele wasn't that. But as time evolved, and especially after I came down to LA, I forget what year it was, but LA County Museum had a magnificent exhibition on Galanos pieces. And after I saw that, my eyes opened and my appreciation level for his really sexy pieces, which prior to that I would never have used the adjective sexy with a Galanos garment. But you'll see later in just a few minutes how sexy and how wonderful his pieces truly are. So Galanos started his boutique in Beverly Hills in either 1951 or 52, but prior to that he opened his atelier after years of experience working for people like Hattie Carnegie, Jean-Louis, and in France he worked for the French couturier Robert Piguet, if that's how you pronounce his name. I mean, if I were to say it just the way it's spelled, I would say Piguet, but I know that's not right. Forgive me. So while he was in France, he became familiar with exquisite trims and fabrics, and that really had an impact on him after he opened his own boutique. I should also mention that his time working for a lot of the other designers really was short for numerous reasons. Part of it was it wasn't challenging, and it also wasn't at a level that he felt he wanted to create or be a part of.
I was aware that I'm making expensive clothes, and yes, I'd like to make something that was different in many ways because I wanted to be different from the other designers. And within my collection, I made big collections in the old days. I had as many as 250 models. I did it to satisfy my ego, obviously, you know. If I got onto something I liked it, I would make variations and so forth and so on. But it's redundant because no one can absorb all those things.
His clothing was considered ready to wear, which when you look at it, actually it feels like it's couture. And in fact, Givenchy, the illustrious French couturier, actually looked at one of Galanos's garments and exclaimed, this is a quote, "We don't make them this well in Paris," unquote. Stanley Marcus, when he saw Galanos's collection, was exuberant because he felt that this was a wonderful way for women to dress that could afford the luxury. And he was known really for his evening gowns and for his work with chiffon. One of the things that he did was he hand rolled the edges of the chiffon, which is really time consuming. And in his heyday, he had up to 22 craftspeople, or I should say workers, that had various skills in his atelier. And most of the work, I would say almost all of the work, was done within his studio. A company that did beading and stud work and trapunto, all kinds of surface design for designers. And I actually have some samples that were from Galanos. So because of the amount of intense work and, from the envisioning to the drafting to the creating to the embellishing, his pieces were extremely expensive. I mean, we're talking about back in their day starting in 4 figures, but later on 5 figures. So really the only extremely wealthy women could afford his pieces. And they truly appreciated him. To meet him and to see his level of luxury, he was one of those wonderful, true, charming, old-fashioned gentlemen, the kind that, you think of Cary Grant, for example. And I have to say that I really miss that level of genteel quality these days. When you look at his garments, you see that you truly get what you paid for. He had clients like Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, Jackie Kennedy, Grace Kelly, Diana Ross. I mean, the list goes on and on. But of course, most people think of Nancy Regan when they think of James Galanos. She wore Galanos, I think, every single inauguration, and she actually wore vintage Galanos, which was a testament to how classic and how his pieces and designs transcend time. I want to read a couple of things that I got from the New York Times when I was doing the research. The title of one article was Galanos Perfection and Lots of It. And it was commenting on 200 of his designs in 1988 after one of his fashion shows. And it says, while he travels to Europe for his fabrics, many are the same as those used in the Paris Couture collections. Most of Galanos' designing is done in California. His standards are as high as those found anywhere in the world. If a comparison is made, it's usually with Paris Couture. It's reasonably astonishing that an American designer of ready-to-wear should merit that kind of homage over so long a period of time. Now, it's almost a quarter of a century since he retired. And I have to tell you that many of my A-list clients really want to know when I get new Galanos pieces in. And there's a reason for it, and you'll see that momentarily. I want to say also in closing, before we show you some pieces, that he said that he knew that he designed for a very limited group of people, and his retirement was based on the fact that he was disappointed in seeing how fashion was going, especially with the youth, with a lot of denim and just casual attire, and elegance seemed to be going out the window. And in this day and age, I have to say I agree with him in most cases. But one of his quotes, which I loved, was, "I like to play with the fabric. The more I work with it, the more I see what I can do." And we will show you what he can do. So I'm going to start with this piece, which is a beautiful several layers of silk chiffon. And if you look at the ends, of course, the edges are hand rolled. And this dress is a halter neck. We'll have photographs up as well, with this beautiful beaded jacket. So you can't really tell that the fabric behind the beading is the same fabric here. But what he did, the detailing, the ruff that he made with the fabric and the piping on the end, it's spectacular. This particular piece came from the Phyllis McGuire collection. I don't typically buy things that were worn by notable people just because you have to pay a premium for it. But I have had this dress in the past, and to be able to acquire it with the jacket was exciting for me. And then this incredible gown, solid beading with a variation of color in the ostrich feathers. This belonged to Nat King Cole's wife. I bought this in auction, I don't know how many years ago, and it's really petite. It's between a 2 and a 4. And then on the rack, we have numerous things that you can see. Galanos, this is actually the front, this beautiful silk charmeuse with actually 2 possible jackets. And it's a good thing I work out because this thing is heavy. Solid beading, copying the pattern on this satin skirt. But if this is a little too much, we have this beautiful jacket as an option. What I love about this is the beading followed the pattern of the print, so you can't really see the print anymore. And he has it embellished with crystals and embroidery, I think, or no, the beads actually emulate embroidery. But it's spectacular, and even though it has those football shoulder pads that were very popular in the 80s, this style totally transcends time, even for someone as petite as me. Okay, then we have this wonderful gown, which is very similar to a piece that's on the cover of Connoisseur magazine. And it has a matching belt, and of course the belt has the Galanos stamp on it as well. It is designed in a way with the raglan sleeves to really make a woman's waist look small. The quality of the fabric, once again, spectacular. We have so many Galanos pieces. This is a Chantilly lace sheath with a chiffon overpiece, which has a slight train, and I think this is a style that can be worn for the next 50 years and never look out of style. There's velvet halter neck sheaths and lame spaghetti strap gowns, and this is an earlier piece from the 60s. With layers and layers of chiffon. And interestingly enough, this one, the chiffon edge is not hand finished, but you can totally see the cutie patootie that would wear this. This is kind of an unusual fabric choice. It's 2 different colors of Alurex fabric, but the finishing is absolutely indicative of Galanos. You can see the gussets are all piped with the alternating color. And I mean, I could just go on for an hour. This balloon sleeve with tiered layers, and what's cool about this is if I put my hand in here, you can see that there's chiffon alternating with the satin ribbon, and it gives tasteful peekaboo of the female form when you wear it. And then this magnificent top, which is a crop top, almost solid beading with the fringe. And once again, a little blingy with this glorious, colorful lame jacquard blazer. This was actually mine a long time ago. And then this is everyone's favorite, animal print with an asymmetrical hem, and adding just a little bit of lame in the empire waistline. Now I love this. It kind of doesn't look great on a hanger, but on a mannequin or on a body, it's really super special, and something I can totally see a company like Hermes reproducing the silhouette. It's very flattering. And to look at the details, you know, like the cuffs, for example, has 4 rows of top stitching. It's just beautiful. And then everybody loves a drop waist with a flounce on the bottom. And last but not least, something that's really unusual for us, which is a wool jersey pantsuit with a space age belt. And this is clearly from the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. So that's it as far as pieces we wanted to show you. We actually have more suits and things like that, but they're not as youthful or as desirable as the cocktail and evening dresses. So we'll have quite a few of these up on our website if you're curious. And I want to encourage you to check out our Instagram, our website, of course, and we are working on having YouTube episodes every other week. So it's not the easiest thing to do while you're trying to juggle a retail store, but we really want to feed the fire of everyone's passion, including mine. I learned a lot from doing these, and so I'm grateful to you all for motivating me. So I think that's it for now. We look forward to having you comment, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you in the store sometime in the not so distant future. Take care of yourselves, be well, be safe, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.